Good afternoon, everyone. I just did that other video, like I said, to just make sure the coast was clear. And because there's been a video I've wanted to do, but there is so much going on these YouTube streets. Can you hear me, Ms. B? There's so much going on these YouTube streets that this commentary and this that I wanted to do kept getting pushed back and put on the back burner. And oh, can you hear me? Okay, thanks, Ms. B. So, what I wanted to talk about is something that I learned maybe a couple of years ago, and it was about the character, the cartoon character, Betty Betty Boop, the iconic cartoon character. And Betty Boop was the first animated sex symbol, and it was based upon a dancer named Gertrude Saunders, a flapper in the famed Cotton Club in the 1920s. And she was the inspiration for the cartoon. And she would say boop boopy doop during her dancing. Now, the original cartoon featured Popeye. The original Betty Boop cartoon featured Popeye. And as you will see in the link below, she was portrayed in the original as a black woman. And the cartoon itself has been banned because of implied nudity. Now, there are 3 links in the description, and they will give you a lot more background and a lot more information. One of them is a Black History article, this is Wikipedia, and the original cartoon. And you can see she wasn't nude, but because she had a lay on, you know, that covered the breast area only, they considered that back then as to being nudity. But what's interesting is that Helen Kane, a white woman who was a singer and portrayed her later on in voice and film, attempted to co opt the character, and she filed a lawsuit against Max Fleischer and Paramount. And guess what? It was the early films of Gertrude Saunders and photographs and audio which disproved her case and her claim. So she lost the case. And despite attempts, Gertrude Saunders was never compensated. And one of the things that is interesting that even if you Google it, when it says, was Betty Boop black? The answer will be the original cartoons were in black and white, skating around it. And even in Wikipedia, they call her Esther Jones, but it was really Gertrude Saunders. Esther Jones was a very petite, very small black woman, and she later became known as Esther Phillips. I remember her as a singer. However, she also was subsequent to Gertrude Saunders, who was one of the originators of scatting. So even Wikipedia, we've got to find a way to get that updated. But the whitewashing, as you know now, Betty Boop, there's nothing even faintly reminiscent of a black woman in her face, the skin tone. And she is one of the first and the most to this date famous and iconic cartoon characters. And again, I think the only, if I'm not mistaken, but to my knowledge, the only cartoon character that uh, was an animated sex symbol cartoon character. So I was thinking about this. I've been thinking about this for a couple of years. And like I said, I've been wanting to do this video, but there's so much going on these streets that it was getting pushed to the back burner. And I wanted to really get into this and put this out there for everyone to research and take a look at. And if you look at the cartoon and you look at the history and look at Wikipedia and the history and so on, substitute the name Esther Jones with the name Gertrude Saunders, because the photo that I put on the thumbnail, that's um, Gertrude Saunders as she was when she portrayed, when she was dancing, hairstyle and everything in the cartoon character, you know. But that was how she was in her real life. So she was the inspiration. And the more you look into it, the more you think, oh, wait, um, how can they do that? But it's happened throughout history and Black history. Either our contributions are ignored or deleted or whitewashed. I think it was, I'm trying to make sure I say the right one, Beethoven. He was a black man because they said he was a Moor, which were the black people in Europe at that time. And so I have no doubt that 50 years from now, Obama might be portrayed as a white man. I don't know. I mean, um, but we've had this happen a lot of times. And the character Betty Boop, there are now competing, um, I would say, images of Betty Boop. If you go and look, all you got to do is put in Black Betty Boop and go to images, and you will see that now, as people are becoming, quote, woke to what happened to her, um, you will see the Black Betty Boop images are now becoming popular. And as I said, Gertrude Saunders was never compensated at all. And so that's the tragedy. And I do believe that she should be honored in some way as the original inspiration. And, you know, I remember having a huge Twitter fight or Facebook fight somewhere on social media where they tried to do the same thing with the Aunt Jemima um, person. Okay. Aunt Jemima, the caricature, was based upon a minstrel show. But the real Aunt Jemima was the cook for the people who created it. That's her recipe. But she never got credit. Back in the when television came about, they had another woman who portrayed her on television as an advertisement, as like a commercial, but she was not the originator. And they give her credit for that, even though she's a black woman, it's still not correct. Because the first woman, she worked for and as a housemaid and a cook for these people, and she died penniless. She never got any credit or any money. And so a lot of these people who are being thrown into the abyss of history, it's up to us to retrieve them somehow. Okay. That needs to be done. We need to honor them and what they contributed, to our history here and here in America, but also worldwide. I I found out Beethoven was a black man when I was what 19 years old, but they continue to try to bury it. And you know, I think our children need to know what we have contributed to the history of the world and our contributions. A lot of people don't even know that the man who created plasma from blood transfusions, he died because he needed a transfusion. The hospital would not let him into their hospital because he was black, so he couldn't get the transfusion. And he was the man who created it. There's also the street lights, okay, the traffic signals. That was created by a black man. So, but they don't just do it to black people. They did it to Nikola Tesla because he was not native-born American. They gave all of his credit to Edison. So it's this is what happens, and we're responsible for our history, and we're responsible for our own heroes, and we are responsible for letting people know what the real story is. And instead of it being whitewash, we need to fill in that whitewash with the color it truly was. Okay, everyone. Let me say hi to everybody because I do appreciate you coming over and listening. Um, Miss B, Sexy and Complete, Mysterious Mermaid. I heard about your new name, but I'm still going to call you Mysterious Mermaid. Uh, Catch Josie, Felicia C, um, Leo, the Lioness Queen. Hi, hon. And anyone else that I missed? I'm looking for VF because she always seems to come later, but uh, Vesha, uh, it's either Vesha or Vishay. I don't know which one it is, but and I think that's it. Okay. Thank you, everyone, for coming over to listen to me, and I hope you share this information. And as I said, if you share it with your child, one person, it makes a difference because we can honor our history in that manner. Have a great rest of your day, hon, each and every one of you. Bye bye.